Good evening. My name is Sally Sheely. I am Congressman Buchanan's District Director. Welcome to Congressman Buchanan's inaugural Congressional Veterans Commendation Ceremony. Air Force veteran from Vietnam, Frank Hetty, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Frank. And now Army veteran and award-winning journalist Mark Young will introduce the Congressman.
Good evening, everybody. If my voice starts to trail off, just let me know. I'm a quiet talker. My wife was always saying, huh, and then I raise my voice and she thinks I'm yelling at her, but I'm like, no, I'm just trying to so you can hear me. Anyway, I want to thank my fellow judges, first of all. It was an interesting experience. We all kind of did our thing individually and separately, and then we finally met up on a Zoom meeting. I think we all kind of like expected to battle for our choices, but it turned out that not only were our choices unanimous, but the reasons for them were also the same, which was a very good experience. So let me tell you about why we're here today. Since entering Congress in 2007, Congressman Buchanan has had 26 of his own legislative initiatives passed, 3 of which mean a lot to me, and that includes military training safety reforms, finally getting animal cruelty to be a felony offense, and strengthening our nation's foster care system. Congressman Buchanan is the co-chair of the Florida Congressional delegation, sits on the House Ways and Means Committee, and of course, as we all know, when he wins election in November again, he is expected to be the chair of that committee. So basically, every tax dollar that we spend, or that the government likes to spend, will go through our own fiscally responsible representative in Congress. Sitting on that committee as well, he's also the lead Republican on the Health Subcommittee, which has done a lot to strengthen Medicare and protect Social Security. Congressman Buchanan represents 70,000 veterans in Southwest Florida, has a strong record of fighting for veterans and military families. As you know, earlier this year, Congressman Buchanan did something that nobody's ever been able to do, as far as I know, and that was to get sweeping legislation passed to protect basically soldiers in training. We found, you know, it was personal to Manatee County and Bradenton when we lost one of our own. And thanks to Congressman Buchanan, we were able to get the truth of what actually happened, that young man didn't really necessarily need to die. You know, I think as veterans in this room, we all know that training can be an extremely dangerous environment. I know when I was in the 80s, we lost an entire platoon of guys when their Chinook helicopter crashed out in eastern Washington. At that time, you know, we were coming off a Jimmy Carter regime who had depleted our military, so our equipment was basically still Vietnam-era stuff, and they had not been maintained. So it was an honor for me to see Congressman Buchanan take this action. Buchanan grew up with 5 siblings in a blue-collar household in a small town near Detroit, Michigan. He served 6 years in the Air National Guard and worked his way through college. The self-made businessman is a respected leader in Florida's business community and philanthropist. He is a husband and a father. He lives in Longboat Key, of course, with his wife Sandy of more than 45 years. God bless you. I don't even have that long with 4 wives. Vern and Sandy have 2 grown sons, James and Matt, and 9 grandchildren. Excuse me. I often refer to Congressman Buchanan as kind of like the walking tall representative because he walks softly, but he carries a big legislative stick. That means a lot to Manatee County while these other politicians in Washington, D.C. are clamoring for the TV stations and trying to get some kind of reputation developed. Congressman Buchanan's in his office getting work done for America, for Manatee County, for you, and for me. So I thank you all for coming today, and without further ado, I give you Congressman Buchanan.
Thanks, Mark, and I want to thank all of our veterans. I have the honor of representing about 75,000 veterans in Sarasota, Manatee, and Hillsborough County. When I originally went to Washington and got elected, it was Manatee County that was there for me. I'll also say I didn't get on the Veterans Committee initially. I wanted to get on. I thought I should have got on, but I didn't because I have, I think, the third or fourth most largest community of veterans. So we worked through that. About 6 months later, I did. So I served on that. It was an incredible opportunity. I'd like to thank all of our veterans, and also I'd like to have the veterans stand, let them be recognized. Have all our veterans stand up, if you would, for a minute. Thank you. Thank you. I know myself as an 18-year-old, a blue-collar kid in the Detroit area. I was the oldest of six, myself, then my brother went in the Air National Guard for 6 years. It changed my life. I met some people there that changed my thinking, changed my life, so it was a big deal. Also, veterans make many times the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our nation. I know personally I lost an uncle in World War II. My wife, Sandy, someone mentioned we've been married for 46 years. She lost an uncle in World War II, so many times they make the ultimate sacrifice. We owe them an enormous debt for their service. Many of them retired in terms of their uniform, but continue their service by helping others in the community, and this is reflective right here with a lot of my friends. These are special people who can make a positive difference, not just for their country, but in the community. I recently established the 16th District Congressional Veterans Awards to recognize heroic wartime sacrifices and people that are making a huge difference, as I mentioned, in the community and involved with helping other constituents. I want to thank the independent panel of veterans that reviewed several nominations and selected 6 veterans to be honored tonight. If you're here, you can stand. Mark Young of Bradenton, one of our judges. Thank you, Mark. Eunuch Packhock of Wamami. Let's give her thank you. And C.J. Bannister of Walnut Lakewood Ranch. Let's give him a round of applause, too. Each veteran will be honored tonight, will receive a congressional certificate. A copy of that congressional record recognizes their service, and a flag flown over the Capitol. So a part of the congressional record, you can go get a lot of different awards or certificates, but this will be a part of the history in our Capitol, in Washington, that your kids, grandkids, and forever will be there recognizing their service. So now with that, I'd like to announce the veterans, the winners tonight that were selected. Sally?
Go present by the flag. I will now read from the recipients' nominations, and Carl Hunziker, an Air Force veteran and member of the Florida Veterans Hall of Fame, will assist the congressman with the presentations. Edward Mahoney of Sun City Center served in World War II as a corporal in the U.S. Marines. Edward was inspired to enlist by his friend's survival of the sinking of the USS Lexington. In 1942, at the age of 18, he set out to walk from Missouri to California to enlist in the Navy. He got as far as Oklahoma and decided to enlist there, but he mistakenly entered the Marine Corps recruiting office, and the rest is history. During World War II, Edward served in combat in Guadalcanal and in Bougainville. He served in the recapture of Guam, which resulted in the destruction of much of Japan's naval air power and allowed the United States to establish large air bases from which it could bomb the Japanese home islands. And in the Battle of Iwo Jima, which was the largest and costliest marine amphibious operation during World War II, with a casualty rate of 35%. While island hopping, he experienced many close encounters with death himself, including when his assault vessel was blown up while the Marines were landing in Guadalcanal, and when the Japanese conducted an aerial attack on a naval squadron as he was preparing to obtain supplies near Tuck Island. Edward was honorably discharged after World War II officially ended in Asia with the surrender of Japan. For his service, Edward was awarded the Presidential Unit Citation with 2 Bronze Stars, the Navy Unit Commendation with 4 Bronze Stars, the Asiatic Pacific Campaign Streamer with 1 Silver Star, and the World War II Victory Streamer. Back home, Edward served from 1955 to 1958 in the Missouri National Guard as a Sergeant First Class. He moved to Florida in 1958 and tried to join the Florida National Guard, but they had no open billets. He was a member of the Sun City Center Leathernecks Club and participated in charitable activities such as the annual Toys for Tots drive. He has been Grand Marshal during recent Veteran Day activities and has been publicly recognized during Sun City Center Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and July 4th ceremonies. For his service to the nation and the community, Edward Mahoney is presented with a Congressional Veterans Commendation.
Let's give him a big round of applause.
John Skeen of Bradenton served in World War II as a sergeant in the U.S. Army. John was drafted into the Army in January of 1941 when the West Virginia National Guard was activated. He was among the first troops sent to Alaska as part of the Asiatic Pacific Campaign. From there, he went to Camp Adair, Oregon, where a new division called the Trailblazers was formed. The name originated from the pioneers moving west into Oregon and blazing trails through the thick evergreen forests of the Pacific Northwest. John served as a combat infantry rifle platoon leader in the 70th Infantry Division of the 275th Infantry Regiment and fought in major European campaigns, including the Ardennes Forest. This is a region of extensive forests, rough terrain, rolling hills and ridges, which extends from Belgium and Luxembourg well into Germany and France. In 1944, in a range of low-maintenance mountains in eastern France, near its border with Germany, the 275th had to endure the coldest winter in 50 years. John was awarded the Purple Heart for wounds he received in a small French village and a Bronze Star for taking out a German machine bunker, even though he was already wounded. In addition, John received the Good Conduct Medal and the Presidential Unit Citation Award. He has served as vice president and archivist for the Trailblazers organization, working with the editor of the newsletter and as a liaison between members of the military and extended family and friends. John retired to Bradenton and became a member of the First Baptist Church of Bradenton. He served on the board of directors and taught Sunday school. For his service to the nation and community, John Skeen is presented with a Congressional Veterans Commendation.
We're proud of you, John.
Yo! Hoorah! Hoorah!
John Brill of Longboat Key served in the Korean War as a lieutenant in the U.S. Army. Less than 3 months after graduating from State University of New York, John was drafted into the military. He answered his nation's call to duty when he enlisted as a private in the Army in 1952. He completed the Army's infantry school and was chosen for and completed the officer candidate school at Fort Benning, Georgia. The Army was drawing down as the Korean armistice was signed, and John was transferred to Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, where he served as a company commander preparing soldiers for infantry duty. He was discharged in 1953 after earning the National Defense Service Medal. John returned to New York and began his community service in Rochester, where he taught school for a year before joining corporate America. He served as vice president of the Junior Chamber of Commerce, which sponsored and assisted in the running of the U.S. Figure Skating Championships at local venues over 2 years. He was nominated and served as the chairman of the local blood bank and participated in several Red Cross blood drives. He joined the Geneseo Rotary Club, a service organization connecting people working together to solve community problems, provide humanitarian aid, and promote goodwill. As a Rotary member for over 30 years, he has served in several board and club positions, including program and membership chairs in New York and Florida. Since moving to Florida in 2012, John has been an active member of the Longboat Island Chapel Church, serving on various committees and in community events. In 2014, he became a founding member of the Longboat Key Rotary Club, where he has served in several director club positions. He has been an active member planning and conducting the Rotary's annual honor programs for local veterans, now in its 9th year. In 2016, he was recognized as the Rotary District 6960 Outstanding Club Service Program Chair. He was recently recognized by Rotary as a Paul Harris Fellow to mark the club's appreciation for his many years of outstanding service to the club and community. For his service to the nation and community, John Brill is presented with the Congressional Veterans Commendation.
Oh, there you go. Let's give John a big round of applause.
Richard Petruzzi served in Vietnam as a captain in the U.S. Navy. Richard graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1961 and reported to the U.S. Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida, to start flight training. He was designated a naval aviator in February of 1963. His flying assignments included 3 operational tours of duty in patrol squadrons, including command of Patrol Squadron 26 at the Naval Air Station in Brunswick, Maine. Additionally, he served 1 tour of duty as a P-3 flight and tactics instructor in the VP Flight Replacement Squadron. While attached to that training squadron, he flew in search of the missing submarine USS Scorpion. During his operational tours, he made numerous deployments to operating bases in Sicily, Iceland, Spain, Bermuda, and the Azores. His missions included Cold War surveillance of Soviet naval activities in the Mediterranean Sea and detection and tracking of Soviet ballistic missile submarines on patrol off the east coast of the United States. He was also deployed to the Naval Air Station in Key West during the Cuban Missile Crisis, flying surveillance missions verifying the removal of Soviet troops and missiles from Cuba. He also deployed to South America for 2 months to participate in the annual ASW training exercises with the Venezuelan, Argentinian, and Brazilian navies. Richard also graduated from the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California, and from the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island. After serving as executive officer and commanding officer of Patrol Squadron 26, he completed 3 tours of duty in senior staff positions with the Chief of Naval Operations, Chief of Naval Material, and Defense Communications Agency staffs. He was awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, Naval Commendation Medal, Meritorious Unit Commendation, Chief of Naval Operations Safety Award for Excellence, Coast Guard Meritorious Unit Commendation, Coast Guard Meritorious Team Commendation, and Sea Service Deployment Ribbon. He retired from the Navy in 1986, but continued to serve in various capacities in direct service to veterans, the field of aviation, the Navy and other sea services, the Naval Academy, and the Sarasota school system. As a working member of the Board of Directors of Our Next Mission, he provided direct aid to disabled and at-risk veterans. He served on the Coast Guard Auxiliary for 7 years in various staff positions in Flotilla 81 in Bradenton. He's been a flight instructor for 42 years. He's been a member of the Association of Naval Aviation for 36 years and a member of the local Silver Osprey Squadron. He has been active in the local Civil Air Patrol for 22 years, and he is celebrating 61 years of flying safety. Richard has been a member of the Sarasota Manatee Council of the Navy League for nearly 20 years and is former Vice President of Education and Director of Youth Programs. He taught math and science for 3 years as an original member of the faculty at Sarasota Military Academy and chairman of the Math and Science Department. He has served as a U.S. Naval Academy Blue and Gold officer for 17 years, identifying, mentoring, and coaching young men and women as an admissions counselor. For his service to the nation and community, Richard Petruzzi is presented with the Congressional Veterans Commendation.
Let's give him a big round of applause.
Dr. Richard Swire of Sarasota served in Vietnam as a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army. Richard was one of the first 600 ROTC cadets in the nation to be awarded a full 2-year college scholarship. Upon graduation, he received a regular Army commission and accepted the commitment to serve 4 years. After being commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Field Artillery in 1967, Richard's first duty assignment was with the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. After completing jump school, he deployed from Fort Campbell to Vietnam on Operation Eagle Thrust. The operation successfully deployed more than 11,000 Screaming Eagles 10,000 miles from Bien Hoa Air Base in Vietnam. The arrival of the 101st Airborne Division marked the completion of the era's longest and largest movement of combat forces by strategic aircraft directly into a combat zone. Richard was awarded 2 Bronze Stars with V for heroism in the ground combat operations, the Presidential Unit Citation, and the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry with Palm while serving with the 2nd Battalion, 401st Airborne Infantry, 101st Airborne Division in Vietnam during the Tet Offense in 1968. He is a graduate of the U.S. Army Field Artillery Officers Basic and Advanced Courses at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, the Defense Army Language Institute at Monterey, California, and U.S. Army Command and General Staff College in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Richard commanded a nuclear-capable field artillery unit with the 1st Infantry Division in New Ulm, Germany, and was the senior NATO commander of a nuclear weapons storage site in Drama, Greece. He then returned to the United States, where he served as an adjutant of the 7th Special Forces Group at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Richard was then assigned to Fort Monroe, Virginia, where he was responsible for the U.S. Army's anti-terrorism and terrorism counteraction doctrine while assigned to the U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command. He was appointed as the U.S. Army's representative to a presidential committee which presented to President Ronald Reagan the national security policy that the United States would not negotiate with terrorists. President Reagan accepted and implemented this policy while in office. Richard culminated his career as the Deputy Inspector General for the U.S. Army Pacific Command, the Army Component Command for the U.S. Forces Japan, U.S. Forces Korea, and Alaskan Command. He was awarded the Legion of Merit for his 23 years of active duty service. Upon retirement, Richard served as Executive Director of the Broward Principals and Assistant Principals Association in Broward County, Florida, for 3 years. Richard returned to Sarasota in 1994. He ran unsuccessfully for the Sarasota County School Board in 2002. Richard served on the Scholarship Board of the Community Foundation of Sarasota County. At the Sarasota County Technical Institute and Manatee Community College, Richard served on committees that act as a liaison between the schools and area businesses. He was also a board member of the Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce and chairman of the Small Business Council for 8 years. Richard was elected as commander of Disabled American Veterans Bee Ridge Chapter 97. He is currently a member of the Military Officers Association of Sarasota and the Veterans of Foreign Wars Sunshine Post 3233. Richard served as the president of the Sarasota County Veterans Commission for 10 years. Among his accomplishments was bringing the statute unconditional surrender to the Sarasota Bayfront. Congresswoman Catherine Harris appointed Richard as chairman of the National Cemetery Advisory Committee with the unanimous consent of the committee members. The committee helped bring the VA National Cemetery to Sarasota, Florida. For his service to the nation and community, Richard Swire is presented with the Congressional Veterans Commendation.
Thank you, sir. No, thank you for all you've done.
David Daly of Bradenton served in the Gulf Wars as a first sergeant in the U.S. Army. David enlisted in the Army Reserve and rose to the rank of first sergeant of the 196th Transportation Company, the second highest enlisted rank. A highly decorated and seasoned combat veteran, he proudly served for 24 years. In 1991, he volunteered to serve at Fort Sheridan, Illinois, in support of Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield. In 2003, he deployed to Iraq in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom. The combat decorations he garnered during these deployments speak to the dedicated call to duty. They include the Army Service Ribbon, NCO Professional Development Ribbon, Army Reserve Component Achievement Medal, Armed Forces Reserve Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal, Global War on Terrorism Medal, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, and Meritorious Service Medal. David's community service includes exceptional leadership of a local veteran of foreign wars and his unfailing commitment to fellow veterans and his community. David joined VFW Post 12055 in December of 2006. He served as a judge advocate from December 2007 through June 2008, was post adjutant from July 2008 until June 2011, became its commander for 4 years, and has served once again as adjutant from 2015 to the present day. Even when he relinquished command to another veteran of the post, he continued to mentor and serve the post in a wide variety of activities. The post is unique in that there is not a bar and no alcohol is served during monthly meetings. Instead, the post is focused on supporting our veterans and our community. David coordinates all of their fundraising events. Beneficiaries of these funds include veterans support programs like Turning Point's Yellow Ribbon Program, Jewish Family and Children's Services, Veteran Support Manatee County, VFW Unmet Needs, VFW Because We Care, Manatee County Meals on Wheels, Southeast Guide Dogs Paws for Patriots, and the American Red Cross. The Post also participates in Wreaths Across America, laying wreaths at the Sarasota National Cemetery. The Post is committed to supporting local schools by providing scholarships to worthy senior JROTC cadets from Lakewood Ranch and Braden River High Schools. The Post also presents awards to participating high school and middle school students that participate in the VFW Patriots Pen and Voice of Democracy essay contests. David coordinates these events and attends the awards ceremonies. He is a volunteer judge at Braden River High School's senior projects and the VFW Veterans in School program. In addition, the Post, under his leadership, supports numerous flag-raising ceremonies at Braden River High School, and the Post demonstrates how to properly dispose of the American flag. David works behind the scenes to ensure each activity or event is carried out flawlessly. He also works with local car clubs to provide cars for local veterans to ride in Lakewood Ranch's Tribute to Heroes Parade on Memorial Day weekend. In 2019, David was chosen to be the Tribute to Heroes Grand Marshal. In November 2020, he was awarded Manatee County Veteran of the Year. David is the Post's point of contact for the Honor Flight Network. The Honor Flights celebrate America's veterans by inviting them to share a day of honor at our nation's war memorials. David nominated veterans for the flights, enlisted Post veterans to serve as escorts to the veterans, and served on 2 of the flights as an escort for a World War II veteran and a Vietnam veteran. In 2017, his leg just above his ankle was crushed by falling material in the workplace. While undergoing 2 surgeries and 6 months of physical therapies, David continued to serve the Post and attend Post meetings, fundraisers, and other Post activities. For his service to the nation and community, David Daly is presented with the Congressional Veterans Commendation. I would like,
Give David a big round of applause.
and now I would invite the Congressman back to the podium for any closing remarks.
I always tell people that I'm humbled, be a congressman, as a blue-collar kid, never thought I'd have this opportunity, but I always view myself as a representative. It's not about me, it's about the people I represent, and I'm so proud of our veterans, not just here, but across the country, and especially the veterans today. What you got is special. It's part of a congressional record. It'll be there forever, and I can't tell you how proud I am of all of you. And we have 88,000 veterans, so there's a lot of veterans, I will tell you, that have additional benefits, but many times they don't realize they have those benefits. Many of them have been very helpful up on the stage to work with them. But if you know any veterans, our job, we have someone that's dedicated to veterans in our office to make sure every benefit that they've earned, they will get. So again, let's give our veterans one more time a big round of applause. They're Americans' heroes. Let's stand up and give them a round of applause. Thank you very much.